Napoleon abdicated in 1814, and the four powers convened at the Vienna Congress to restructure Europe for the 19th century. The 100 days turned Napoleon's abject abdication into French heroism and had a profound effect on French culture. Tsar Alexander had preserved Prussia at Tilsit when Napoleon and the Tsar carved up Europe, and Poland had been partitioned the previous century, so the three autocracies naturally segued into Tsar Alexander's reactionary Holy Alliance, which Castlereagh described as mysticism and religious nonsense. France joined the Five Powers Alliance in 1818. The first test came in 1820. Ferdinand VII, who was fighting to retain Spanish colonies, was deposed by liberal officers destined for war. Castlereagh committed suicide on the eve of the Congress of Verona and was replaced by Wellington, who opposed intervention. Despite objections, Russia raised an army of 150,000, threatening to march across Europe, which compelled France to invade and crush the Triennio Liberale. Rebellion in Greece followed, convincing the paranoid Holy Alliance that there existed in Paris a comité directeur coordinating events. Alexander I had to choose between the concert of Europe and his orthodox obligations to the Greeks. He chose to ignore the Greek rebels. Nicholas I chose to support the Greeks and asked Britain and France to show naval solidarity, which led to the inadvertent sinking of the Sultan's fleet at Navarino. In 1830, a minor demonstration caused a catastrophic loss of nerve in the last Bourbon king, Charles X, who fled to London, leaving Paris leaderless. A parvenu stepped into the role as citizen king. Louis Philippe lacked divine approval, and the Holy Alliance would ironically celebrate his downfall in the 1848 revolutions. Back in 1830, Louis Philippe pledged support for the Italian nationalists, then abandoned them when Pope Gregory XVI called in Austria. Ciro Menotti was executed, and Mazzini was exiled to France, where he founded the Young Italians who would influence revolutionaries across Europe. Belgium declared its independence from the Netherlands in 1831, and Greece gained its independence from the Ottomans in 1832. The revolutions were a battle between autocratic dynasties and national sovereignty based on human rights and self-government. The British people supported civilised progress. In 1864, an unprecedented 500,000 turned out to greet Garibaldi. Lord Byron died fighting for Greek liberty, and Gladstone supported Italian nationalism along with Home Rule for Ireland. In 1847, Lord Minto toured Italy to encourage constitutional government. Also in 1847, Irish nationalist Daniel O'Connell died in Genoa. Father Ventura foresaw the revolution which threatens to encompass the globe. The 1848 revolutions were anticipated. Several economic crises overlapped. Lean harvests and potato blight had further impoverished the poor, and the inhumanity of serfdom had exploded in Galicia, encouraged by Austria to eliminate redentist Polish gentry. In January 1848, the revolutions began in Sicily. Ferdinand II, King of the Two Sicilies, granted a constitution, followed by Leopold II, Charles Albert, and Pope Pius IX. In France, the February Revolution forced Louis Philippe to flee and ushered in the Second Republic. In March, the Hungarians called for and were granted a constitution by the Emperor. Metternich fled Vienna. Austrian liberals declared a republic. And in December 1848, Ferdinand I abdicated for Franz Joseph. The decisive event of 1848 was the revolution in Berlin. Prussia had none of the weaknesses of Austria. It was efficient, solvent and strong. Frederick William IV lost his composure and complained he couldn't sleep. "A king must be able to sleep," said Bismarck. Frederick William then donned the black, red and gold colours of the revolution and announced, "Prussia merges into Germany." Nationalism was a major driving force behind the revolutions. Only in Vienna was there a brief display of fraternity. To appease German radicals, a National Assembly was elected at Frankfurt. Palaki shocked the Frankfurt Assembly by announcing the formation of the Slav Congress, then delivering the most fateful letter in German history, presenting Germany with a third nationalist challenge. The Assembly was conservative and wanted to convert princes, not replace them. It supported the suppression of rebellion in Bohemia, Vienna and Berlin, effectively cutting off the branch it was sitting on. In March 1848, Frederick William had capitulated to the revolution. In April 1849, the revolution capitulated to Frederick William and offered him the imperial crown of Germany, to which he replied he wouldn't pick up a crown from the gutter. The assembly was then chased to Stuttgart and abandoned. In the June days, the middle class sided with the nationalists to crush the working class in a civil war. In Italy, Charles Albert, father of the future King of Italy, fled from returning Austrian forces. The Pope called in France, and the King of Naples called upon Spain. The revolutions failed everywhere. Liberals and radicals used the masses but had no concern for or contact with them. Britain and Russia were untouched by revolution. In London, a small Chartist rally was rained off, and Russia remained an Asiatic autocracy until 1917.